Namaste yogis, welcome to my channel. My name is Kassandra and today I'm going to take you through a quick practice all about your hips. So if you are looking for some hip flexibility and to really stretch out into your glutes, your thighs, your hips, your quads, a little bit into your hamstrings as well, this is really the best practice for you. I'm not using any props in the video, but of course at home if you have blocks and things like that, it's always a good idea to have stuff close by in case you need it. So we are going to start in a wide-legged child's pose. Bring your big toes together and let your knees go as wide apart as you can get them without causing too much strain through the inner thighs and through your lower back. And you can just bring your hands out in front of you as you melt forehead down towards the floor. So let your belly relax and your hips be heavy. And imagine you can breathe directly into the spot where you feel this the most. Take 3 more breaths here in the pose. And let's start to lift back up, coming into a tabletop pose on hands and knees, hands under your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And you're just going to kick your right heel up towards the sky and trace big circles open with that knee. So noticing how the right hip feels. Try to keep your left arm and your left leg really stable and steady, and reverse in the other direction. Maybe a little bit of popping or cracking in the hips, totally normal. And then we're going to step the foot to the outer edge of your right hand. So a very deep lunge, more like your lizard pose. And you can curl your right toes up and roll to the outer edge of your right foot. So you're pressing that knee open. And maybe come up onto your fingertips here. You push your hips forward and down and open up through your chest. Big, slow, steady breaths here. And bring that toe or those toes back in and the foot back in so you're more into your lunge. And you're going to push into the feet and into the legs in order to lift up into your low lunge. Catch a hold of your left wrist with your right hand. Inhale, stretch up a little taller, and then side bend over to the right. Really pull on your left wrist. Big side body stretch. And coming all the way back to center, fingertips down on the mat. You're going to straighten your right leg as you fold. And start to bend into that right knee again. Now move your left toes a little bit over towards the side of your mat, and you're going to step your right foot back, cross your knee one behind the other, and just widen your feet so that they're away from each other, and see if you can start to send your hips back until you're sitting back on your hips. So your left knee is stacked over the right knee. This is your cow face pose. And bringing the elbows out in front of us, let's wrap the left arm under the right, binding once or twice, push into your forearms, and then maybe if you'd like to go deeper, you can fold on down. If this is too much, stay up nice and high. We're not here forever, just 5 deep breaths. This is a great way to open up through the hips. If you had folded down like what I'm doing, you can lift your way back up. Release the arms and roll back onto your knees so you're back onto all fours. And before we go to the other side, let's find downward facing dog. Hands shoulder width distance apart, feet are about hip width distance apart or so. And go ahead and paddle the feet, sway the hips, move in any way that feels good to you here. Give yourself a great big stretch before coming back, tabletop pose onto your hands and knees. And we'll find those same little knee circles, but over on the other side. So reach your left heel up to the sky, open it to the side, all the way down, and just keep going here. A few more. Without collapsing through the right side body, stay really strong and stable and reverse the direction of those circles. Noticing how the left hip feels compared to the right one. And let's step the foot to the outer edge of your hand. Knee is over the ankle, and you can lift your left foot off the floor and roll to the outer edge of that left foot, coming up onto your fingertips as you press your hips forward and down, lifting up through your heart. A little bit of a back bend here in the pose. Slow, steady breaths. And we're gonna come to our low lunge. So bring your foot back in. So feet are hip width distance apart. Push into the feet in order to lift up. Catch a hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Stretch out a little bit taller before moving into a side bend. Right fingertips go over to the left. So this helps to go even deeper through those hip flexors. Come all the way back to center, hands to the floor. Let's straighten the left leg as we fold. And bending into your front knee, just move your right toes over to the left a little bit. You're gonna step your left foot back behind you, just so you're crossing one knee behind the other, widening your feet so that there's room for your hips as you send your hips all the way back. Sitting down so your heels are over towards the sides of your glutes, sides of your hips. And maybe you just hang out here, or you can wrap your right arm under your left, binding once or twice, and maybe hinging forward at the hips as you fold on down. 5 breaths wherever you are. Come all the way back up. Release the arms, downward facing dog. So bring your weight back forward. Lift your hips up and back. And from this downward dog, we're just gonna step our feet to the top of the mat. Bend your knees generously and roll all the way up to stand, inch by inch, until we come up to stand. And we're just going to step our feet out wide. Turn your heels in, toes out, so the feet are open at about a 45-degree angle. Arms reach up. As you exhale, bend the elbows and bend your knees. And think of squeezing your glutes to push your knees open a little bit wider. So very wide squat, squeeze your shoulder blades. Let's straighten the legs. One more time, exhale. Squeeze it in. Let's bring our hands to our thighs. Drop one shoulder down, bring the other back. Little twist, you can push towards that inner thigh. And switch sides, other shoulder drops. Coming back to center, Skandasana. Bend into your right knee as you straighten your left leg, and see if you can sink your hips all the way down as you flex that left foot so the toes curl up. We're gonna move in and out of those two sides. So left knee bends, right leg is straight. Sink down as low as you can get. Once more on each side. Last one, bend to the left. Sinking the hips down, and come all the way back to center. Turn your feet in so they're parallel to the shorter edges of your mat as you fold on down. You can walk your hands back here, any arm variation that feels good to you. And bring your hands forward, chest parallel to the floor, palms to your hips, push into the feet to lift all the way back up. And turn your left toes to point forward towards the top of the mat. Bend into that front knee, extended side angle. You're gonna bring your left hand either onto your arm, your left forearm either onto your thigh, or your left fingertips can come down to the floor if this is accessible to you. Right arm extends up overhead, reach the right fingertips away from your right foot. So big side body stretch as we get even deeper into the hips. And push into the feet to lift all the way back up. Warrior 2, reverse, right hand down, left arm up. All the way back to center, straighten your left leg, turn the left toes in, and let's switch sides. So right toes now point to the back of your mat. Bend into that right knee, extended side angle, either placing your form on your thigh or maybe letting the fingertips come down to the floor as you stretch out long. Push into your feet to lift back up and reverse. Left hand down, right arm up. Coming all the way back to center. Straighten that leg, turn the toes in, and we're just gonna step to the top of the mat. Taking a little flow here. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, fold all the way. Halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, plant your palms and just step the feet back. Lower all the way down to your belly. Inhale, take a little cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. And we'll set ourselves up for pigeon pose here. From down dog, reach your right leg up to the sky and bend your right knee to open up your hip. Really big stretch here. And then pigeon pose, you're gonna bring your right knee behind your wrist, stretching that left leg back out behind you, leveling out your pelvis so you're not leaning on one side more than the other, and then folding into the pose. 5 slow, steady breaths here. And before going back to downward dog, just lift back up from the forward fold. And you're welcome to just play around doing a little quad stretch for a few more breaths. So option 1, you're just gonna hang out exactly as you are, just a little back bend. Option 2, if you'd like, you can start to bend into that left knee, reach back into with your left hand and just see if you can pull that foot in a little bit, stretching into the quads. And we'll release downward facing dog. Second side, from your down dog, reach your left leg up to the sky, bend your knee, open up your hip nice and wide. Pigeon pose, left knee goes behind the wrist. Stretch that back leg behind you, level out your hips so you're not leaning. Open up through your chest as you fold down, really long through your spine here. Try to let gravity do the work for you. Relax your hips, relax your legs. And even try to soften your arms and your upper back as much as possible. Start to lift back up, either just hanging out here with a little back bend or adding a little quad stretch by bending into your back knee and reaching with your right hand as you pull that foot in. And we'll be coming into our last downward facing dog. Slowly release and make any little movements and adjustments here that feel good in your downward dog. And feet, knees come back to the ground. And bring your legs back out in front of you so that you can take a seat. Sitting up nice and tall. And just take a few breaths observing how the hips and the lower body in general feels. So for these quick, short practices, I like to end with a seated meditation as opposed to Shavasana. However, you're welcome to lay back down if you prefer. And giving yourself a few moments to really process the work that you've done. feeling the effects, not only physically, but also emotionally or energetically. Giving thanks to your body and thanking yourself for making the time for this practice. And we'll join our hands together at the front of the heart, closing with the chant of Om one time. We'll inhale to chant, big breath in. Namaste. Thank you so much, yogis. I hope you enjoyed this practice. If you like these shorter flows, I have a ton more on my YouTube channel, but even more of them that you can't find on YouTube that are in my Yoga with Kassandra mobile app. So I would highly recommend checking that out if you're looking for more content. And it also gives you the opportunity to practice offline, and you can download them. There are no ads. You can schedule them in the calendar. It's just lots of advantages to doing it that way. If you're new to my channel, please do subscribe. I have new classes that come out every single week. Thank you so much. Hopefully I will practice again with you soon. Namaste.